I'm Bryan Hewing from the Big B Files, and with me today is Mr. Zip Rzeppa. He is the executive director of Mater Media, an apostolate focusing primarily on books, manuscripts, along with a speakers bureau. Zip's previous work includes being a highly successful television sportscaster here in St. Louis, as well as in Cincinnati, Boston, and other places. He is the creator and producer of 3 nationally syndicated radio programs. He was at one time the executive director for the Society of St. Vincent de Paul for the St. Louis Archdiocese, and has also worked at Merz Goodwill Industries and as managing director of Angel's Arms. He's a speaker and MC at numerous events, including the Catholic Men for Christ Conference. I should also mention Zip just wrote a new book, a new Catholic novel called My Rock and Salvation, which you can get free through Mater Media. And so, Zip, thanks for joining me today. I guess my first question would be, you just recently wrote a new book called My Rock and Salvation, as I just mentioned. And basically, what's the story about?
Well, it's a fictional story, Bryan, about a guy who's trying to make it as a rock singer. He lives in St. Louis. He pals up with a newly signed free agent wide receiver, the St. Louis Rams, and they go on an adventure, meet a couple of young women from St. Louis, and from there proceeds a story in which they confront these situations of our times, dating situations, whether or not to have sex, what to happen when somebody gets pregnant, the issues that are facing young people in the church today. And it's a tale that weaves its way through a murder and a near-death experience and a social media explosion, a lot of excitement, and moral decisions that the young people have to make.
And as I should disclose, that I was one of the reviewers of the final draft before this final version of the book. And as I read the story of Manny, for some reason it seemed like to me it kind of paralleled to the current quarterback for the Rams. But that's not who the story is based on. Just some generalization in a way.
Yeah, we didn't model it on anybody in particular, so any similarities are just a coincidence, as they say in the fiction world. The rock world is something I think kids relate to, and certainly pro football is the most popular sport in our culture right now. So we chose those venues, those areas of interest for the young people to try to reach them with a compelling story.
I kind of noticed whenever I listened to the interview you did for the local Knights of Columbus Council at the Fish Fry that I guess you kind of wanted to, in a way, model after one of the current bands or use the songs, but they basically said no, so you, I guess, kind of had to go back to scratch in a way.
Right, we thought about using popular artists' lyrics in the book because music is a big theme in the novel. But it was difficult to gain the copyrights to the songs from 30 or 40 different artists we wanted to use. So we had Manny Morrison, the fictional character in the book, write the songs, and Manny gave us permission to use them.
And I guess the book also focuses on the character Sheila, who you have working for an organization you once headed, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul for the Archdiocese of St. Louis.
Right, in the book, the character Sheila works as a social worker at St. Vincent de Paul, helping the poor, the needy, and the suffering. And after being executive director at St. Vincent de Paul for almost 6 years, I was well acquainted with the work they do in the St. Louis area. So we had plenty of realistic references to draw on. Sheila's friend Rachel also works at St. Vincent de Paul. So it was a good place for us to place them as far as employment in the book.
And I guess one main thing you wanted to do as far as keeping locales is like keeping it within St. Louis, like promoting St. Louis in a way.
Well, yeah, many of the scenes are set in St. Louis. And again, they say write what you know. I've lived here for almost 30 years, so I know the St. Louis area. And it was a joy to include places like Caldi's Coffee and Fraser's Restaurant and other places in there that I think people in St. Louis will recognize.
Yeah, and overall the whole book is like a conversion of sorts, going from Manny as a child, from being somewhat religious to not religious at all, and then eventually going back to confession and eventually
way it was looking, coming back to the faith and working toward reconciliation with Sheila.
Well, I hope to inspire people to know that they can revert to their Catholic faith if they've left the faith. The character you mentioned, Manny, left the faith 12 years ago when his mother died. He was so heartbroken by that and felt that God didn't answer his prayers that he left the church, stopped going to Mass, and so on. But in that reconciliation scene, when he comes in after 12 years away from the sacrament and he really makes peace with his God and confesses his sins and gains God's absolution and forgiveness, it changes his life. And I want to get that message across in the book, that this can happen in real life with people living today.
One thing that struck me is where he's literally going step by step by step through each of the Ten Commandments, and not only is Father Max explaining it in detail to him, but he's helping him understand it and working toward a true confession.
Yeah, the priest is really a heroic figure in there, and we've had a lot of comments from people saying the confession scene is a great one because the reader is taken right into the confessional, and he's right there with the priest in the character of Manny, as the priest, as you said, walks him through the Ten Commandments and what they mean, what is allowed and what's not allowed according to the commandments, and we think it's a powerful scene in the book.
I guess she kind of left it kind of open-ended. I guess for leaving open possibly of a second edition of the novel, or third, fourth, etc., whatever case it turns out to be.
I think the ending does leave open the possibility of a sequel. We've thought about that. Nothing's in process yet. We haven't made any decisions to whether or not to proceed. But certainly the ending is one that we think is realistic. It isn't namby-pamby or sugar-coated. And yet at the end, it's not dark and dreary and depressing to the reader either.
Kind of not like, for instance, Family Ties is conflict starts beginning, resolved at the end of a half hour. And I guess one point would probably be like, this ain't no half hour show. It's imitating real life, making sure that people know that it is a never ending process. You're always converting, no matter how you slice it.
That's right. We're all on a journey. And the characters in this book are on journeys, each in their own individual journey, and the reader goes along with them. And they can think about their own lives as they read. You know, where am I in my life? What do I think about the sacraments? What do I think about the true presence of Jesus in the Eucharist? Do I really believe? When was the last time I went to confession? What's the state of my life? And we hope to provoke these questions, thought-provoking questions in the book to the readers.
Oh, good. How's the distribution been so far, and have you had any issues with that?
No, it's exciting. Our model is very unique. We're giving the book away for free, Bryan, so there's no charge. We're even shipping it for free if people don't help us with shipping expenses. So in the first 40 days the book was out, we've given away more than 2,000 copies of the book, and we're very happy about that. We hope to give out many more this summer with some of the major conferences around the country, the Steubenville conferences and others around the area. So it's going very well so far. We hope to reach tens of thousands of kids in a very short period of time.
And I know one issue that I could probably touch on is some people, some priests might like you to have an imprimatur, but the Archbishop Carlson himself has read the book and says, no, it's not really needed.
Right. The Archbishop has no problems with the book. It certainly does not defy Catholic teaching in any way, shape, or form. But regarding the imprimatur, neither he nor I felt it was necessary. This is a work of fiction. It's a novel. It's not a theological book or a doctrinal paper or anything like that. It's a novel meant to be read for enjoyment and also for information and inspiration. But I think we made the right decision in not seeking the imprimatur.
Yeah, basically, as you said, it is a work of fiction. It's not doing like a thesis or like the Roman Missal or anything like that. It's fiction, and it's basically, what I understand, a story to help encourage people. So it is kind of a ministry tool, but because it's fiction, it really didn't need the imprimatur or anything along those lines.
Right. The characters are all fictional. The action is all made up. It could have happened, but of course it's not based on any real events. So while the reader sees himself in the shoes of the characters in St. Louis and in other cities around the country, none of this was actual fact. This isn't the lives of the saints where we're documenting actual lives of people or anything like that. And again, that's another reason why I don't think the imprimatur is necessary.
Well, speaking of the Archbishop, what were his thoughts about the book as reviewing the book overall?
He liked it. He said it could be very inspirational for anyone interested primarily in sports or in music. If people are interested in those things, he thinks they'll like it very much. And since most kids these days are interested in sports and or music, we think it's the right area that we're trying to get to in getting them to think about how they're living their lives.
Right, and we should add that the book's not for all kids, just ones like 12, 13 and up, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's age appropriate for anyone who is dating or thinking about dating. The book has dating relationships and all the subsequent issues that come up in those relationships, such as sex outside of marriage and those kind of questions, chastity, purity, and so on. So for someone who isn't of an age that would be living or wondering about those questions, I think it's age inappropriate. But I think, 13, 14 years old and up, no problem.
Yeah, basically it's not a young kid's book, it's preteen and teen and on up. And I know there's, I would say, a minor bit on language thing, but that's why it's just for teens on up. But probably let you go ahead and explain the minor things on some of the language stuff, and just in case anybody has any concerns.
Right. There are 4-letter words in the book, not many, a handful, a sprinkling of terms throughout the book, and they're uttered by the rock star when things go awry. We avoided using the F word, but there are some other 4-letter words in the book. The reason we chose to do that wasn't to lead anyone astray, but it would have been unrealistic if, when a groupie, for example, winds up pregnant, the rock star would react by saying golly or darn it or shoot. That's not what a real-life rock star would say. So we put the words in the book. These are words that I don't think anyone of teenage age or older have not heard. So I think we made the right decision. We'll get some pushback from some people, but again, the book is not for preteens or those who are impressionable about such things.
Okay, and if anybody wants to get the book, what do they need to do?
The best way is to get to our website, matermedia.org. That's matermedia.org. And they can order the book free. And if they'd like to make a donation, that's great to support the ministry. If they'd like to help us out by deferring some of the cost of shipping, we appreciate that too. But we will send the book for free and ship for free for anyone who wants to acquire it.
Well, speaking of modern media, for those that don't know or are saying, what is modern media and what's the apostle about?
First of all, the name Mater Media means the mother of media, like Mater Dei is the mother of God. We donated this apostolate to Mary, the mother of media, in this day and age where the media in many ways leads more people astray sometimes than to the Lord, to the truth. So it's something I founded to create, to print, to publish, to inspire authors to come up with Catholic books, both fiction and nonfiction, to evangelize the Catholic faith. And that's the purpose of Mater Media. We also are going along with the philosophy of distributing them free to get them out into the hands of as many people as possible, whether they can afford to buy a book or not.
I guess that incurs a lot of costs, and so I guess you have to have fundraisers, obviously. And so is that like a lot of work to do fundraisers, and how detailed can it be?
Well, we're entirely dependent upon donations to keep this apostolate alive. So we welcome donations from foundations, from individuals, from companies. Any kind of donations we appreciate very much because we are totally dependent upon donors to pay the cost of printing and distribution and mailing and shipping and salaries and so on.
You literally started Modern Media with literally just your own funds, and now hopefully more people will see it and donate to this worthwhile apostolate.
Yep, and we made it a not-for-profit, Bryan, because we're not trying to make money on this, and we're not interested in anyone who wants to. When people contribute money, it is a donation. We're 501c3, so they get a tax deduction, federal and state tax deduction, but there's no investment in this. No one's going to make money off this concern because this is the work of Our Lady, and she's trying to reach her children through these books, and we want to get them out as much as we possibly can to as many people as we possibly can, and everyone who helps, we appreciate that.
When you're referring to Our Lady, you're referring to the Virgin Mary. I noticed that when I went to the Modern Media website that it's not just the book. it's also other things as well.
Well, we have a speakers bureau offering the services of talented Catholic speakers who will come and speak at a parish or at a high school or a business event. And these people are inspirational speakers. I'm among them. And we offer those services at no cost or whatever can be arranged as well. And then again, we want to inspire other authors to come forward and write books, be they Catholic fiction or Catholic nonfiction, to again evangelize the culture.
So, who else do you have currently in the Speakers Bureau? And if anybody wants to approach you about doing that, what would they need to do?
Well, David Williams is one of our speakers. He's a convert to the Catholic faith. What a great story. What an inspirational young man. He's 30 years old. He moved to St. Louis about 3 years ago. He's teaching at John Paul II Prep School. He grew up in Colorado, went to school at Oral Roberts, was going to be a Protestant preacher. He imagined himself preaching at revivals, huge tent revivals around the world, but saw the light of the truth in the Catholic faith, and he and his wife both converted in, I think, 2007, maybe 2008, and he's moved to St. Louis. He is a tremendous speaker on a number of Catholic events. As a father of 5, he certainly can speak to the challenges of raising a family as good Catholic families in this day and age. But he can speak on a multitude of subjects, so he's available to speak. Another is Debbie Schleprizi. Debbie has spoken at the Catholic Women's for Christ conference here in St. Louis and at numerous locations around the country. She does a radio show in St. Louis called The Splendor of You, and her upcoming book, which will be released later in 2014 of the same title, talks about how God has created each of us in splendor. Each person on this earth is a wonderful gift from God, a creation of God, made in the image and likeness of God, and Debbie has a very beautiful, powerful, emotional way of presenting those themes to her listening audience.
So if someone would like to approach you about joining the Speakers Bureau, what would they need to do?
Just have them contact us at Mater Media. We're looking to promote Catholic speakers, but we do have opportunities we can provide through our website to help them get bookings and help them evangelize the Catholic faith.
Wow. What other things are involved with Mater Media besides the Speakers Bureau and the book?
Well, we want to make books available. That's our primary purpose, to get books in the hands of people. You know, when I began writing this novel, I researched the fiction area of literature and found that kids are reading books. 450 million copies of the Harry Potter series have been sold worldwide. That's a lot of books. And then came Twilight, and then came The Hunger Games, and it convinced me that young people, while they do have their phone in their hands at all times, it seems, or online a lot, they are spending time reading books. So I thought, why not write a book that emphasizes the Catholic faith and Catholic teachings in the world of fiction and aim it at the young people? So that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and we should mention that the physical version of the book isn't the only version you have.
That's right. We ebook the book so that if people want to get it on their Nook or on their Kindle or on their computer or on their phone or whatever, that's available to be downloaded free of charge as well.
And I guess they just go to the Mater Media website to get that?
Absolutely, matermedia.org, and it's right there. You can order it either ebook or have it sent in hard form. Also, we have a button where people can order them in large numbers. If you're a church or a youth group or a youth minister and want to order dozens of books, we can facilitate that as well online.
Is there anything you want to add as far as Mater Media or the book?
Bryan, I'm doing this because I felt called by the Holy Spirit to use my gifts, and under the mantle of Our Lady, I think I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And again, we want to encourage others who have a bent for writing to join us in this effort to get more Catholic books out there to influence young people where they're at, reading fiction.
Well, let's talk about you. You got a highly successful television career, mainly in the sports side of it. And in St. Louis, you worked at both what's now Fox 2 and Channel 4. And you've been in nonprofit for some time, most notably as head of St. Vincent de Paul. And I think it says along the lines that you literally grew it from, I think, a little over $2 million worth in what they do to up to $6 million, which is impressive, and made the organization a lot better when you left than when you came in.
Well, hopefully we were able to serve my years at St. Vincent de Paul, but it's an international organization, as you know. It was founded in 1833 in Paris by Blessed Frederick Ozanam, and the first conference, which is another word for chapter, was formed in the United States in the old cathedral parish of the banks of the Mississippi in 1845. It was brought over to the country by Bishop Joseph Teeman, who came from Ireland and brought the concept over with him. So the Society of St. Vincent de Paul has been around for many, 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 many years. And I was honored to be the executive director for almost 6 years here in St. Louis, served with some great, great people who came on board. But the heart and soul of St. Vincent de Paul Society has been, is, and always will be the parish conference. The Vincentian volunteers in more than 140 parishes right now in St. Louis who volunteer their time to serve the poor, the needy, and the suffering.
You've got a number of friends. One of them is very well known, Bill O'Reilly. You worked with Bill, I think, on 2 different occasions.
Well, I met Bill at Boston University. I was an undergrad. Bill was a grad student. We both liked sports. We were both in communications, and we formed a friendship that grew when we got jobs together at Channel 7 in Boston back in the 1980s. Then we became best friends, and we've known each other for almost 39 years now, and Bill and I are very close. We've done a lot of things together. He's been supportive of many, many things I've done through the years, and I really respect him for being the man of character and the practicing Catholic that he is.
Going back to the book a second, I think you got a comment from him on the book, and I think he praised it as well.
Well, Bill likes things that lead people to the truth, and that's what we're trying to do. It's a work of fiction, but yet it imparts the morality of the church, the teachings of the church in a way that's non-preachy, and I think Bill appreciates that.
One of the things, especially here in St. Louis, that you're known for is Zippo Awards. Tell me a little about that and how popular did it become?
Yeah, I did the Zippos for my first days in St. Louis back in 1984 and continue to do the Zippos every week for 17 years, which is a long, long run in the local television business. It was for the best, the worst, and the weirdest performances in the wild, the wacky, wonderful world of sports. And we put on the best plays, the worst plays, and the funniest plays of the week, and became a very popular feature. And I'm grateful that we could do it every week for 17 years.
Yeah, similar to something I saw in Central Illinois, sports director at one time, WHDH-TV, Ron Rector, did something similar. They call it Ron's Sports Shorts. And if anybody wants to see an example of the Zip Awards, I think there's a couple of clips. If you do a Bing search, type Zip Rzeppa or the Zip Awards, and they'll pop up using Bing or Google, and watch the couple from 1989, including one about some dog. You are also an MC. In addition to founding Modern Media, being a speaker, you're also an MC, and this is my impression, seeing you're usually called on a lot, especially like by the St. Louis Archdiocese.
Well, I've been honored, Bryan, to have been asked by a number of not-for-profit groups and religious organizations to MC their events, and I don't know, I've done so many in St. Louis. It's gratifying. Each and every cause is worthy, the ones I get involved with. With the Archdiocese, they sort of sanction the Catholic Men for Christ every year. We had almost 2,000 people at the Peabody Center in this past February when Cardinal Dolan came in along with Father Don Calloway. But I've worked with a lot of groups, the Little Sisters of the Poor, the Daughters of St. Paul, the sisters who run St. Agnes Home, Covenant Network, Family Resource Center, Catholic Family Services, a number of organizations. And I've been honored by each and every one to have been asked to be their MC.
Well, is there anything you'd like to add before we go?
Well, appreciate the opportunity to be on the Big B Files. It's an honor, and appreciate what you do for the Catholic faith, Bryan. You're a good Catholic man, and we're in this fight together, brother. We're all on a journey, and may we all bring it home. If we keep those 2 great commandments of our Lord, love the Lord thy God with your whole heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, I think we're going to be all right.
Okay, well, thanks, Zip. Again, if you want to get the book My Rock and Salvation, just go to Mater Media, MATERMEDIA.org, and you can order there, make a donation, and check out the speakers. If your parish organization wants to book any of the speakers, just contact Zip through Modern Media. And so, Zip, thank you for joining me today.
It's been a pleasure, Bryan. Really enjoyed it.
And that will do it. I'm Bryan Hewing. Thank you for listening, and have a blessed day. Goodbye, everybody.